So our timer for this panel is Scott, sitting to my left. He will be timing all of the presenters and those at the microphones. Each presenter has 10 minutes. Scott will begin timing after the presenters have introduced themselves. After 9 minutes and 30 seconds, Scott will signal the presenters with a flashing light. There it is. If the presenter is still speaking when their 10 minutes are up, they will hear the sound of a bell. That's better, which indicates that they are out of time and must stop speaking immediately. However, if a presenter is presenting in another language and has an interpreter, which we do have the honor of having tonight, this is kind of cool, they will be allowed 14 minutes to present and will receive the flashing light warning at 12 minutes when 2 minutes are remaining. When the presentations are complete, we will have until 4:45 for floor discussion. So, this panel is titled, Is God a Requirement for AA Membership? In keeping with the spirit of this panel, our timer, Scott, will now read a brief excerpt from page 81 in the book, Alcoholics Anonymous, Comes of Age.
Hi, my name is Scott, and I'm an alcoholic from Area 11 here in Glastonbury, Connecticut. An excerpt from AA Comes of Age. We took AA's 12 steps over to the largest Buddhist monastery in this province. We showed them to the priest at the head of it. After he had finished looking over the 12 steps, the monk said, "Why, these are fine, since we as Buddhists don't understand God just as you do. It might be slightly more acceptable if you inserted the word good into your steps instead of God. Nevertheless, you say in these steps that it is God as you understand him. That clears up the point for us. Yes, AA's 12 steps will certainly be accepted by the Buddhists around here." To some of us, the idea of substituting good for God in the 12 steps may seem like watering down of AA's message. But here we must remember that AA's steps are suggestions only. A belief in them as they stand is not at all a requirement for membership among us. This liberty has made AA available to thousands who never would have tried it at all had we insisted on the 12 steps just as written. But changes in them seldom last. The original version usually wins out. What is proved so true here in America will probably prove true in many a far-off land. Alcoholics may be led to believe in God, but none can be forced. Thank you for allowing me to be of service.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. So, our first presenter is Irina from Area 49, who will be presenting on the God Word, Does Great Britain Have the Answer? Irina will be presenting in her first language of Russian, so please help me welcome Irina.
My name is Irina and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Irina.
I'm also Russian. From New York City. But I came to New York City from a city which is not even on the map in Russia. It's a privilege to be here. It's a privilege to ask to speak. I'm honored. It's my first time here at Nurasa. How do I look? I gotta be presentable for Alcoholics Anonymous. I love the enthusiasm. I'm enthusiastic about my sobriety. I'm enthusiastic about my life. I got sober to have a big life. I always had a big life. With that, I'm gonna turn Russian. Because my time is very, very small. I want to say so much. Это была одна из холодных ночей в маленьком российском городке.
It was one of the coldest nights in one small Russian town.
Когда отчим сказал: "Ты знаешь, что случилось с Иваном? Он же замерз до смерти вчера ночью."
Do you know what happened last night? He froze to death.
And mother said, "What do you expect? He's a drunk." He was asking what he was asking for. And my grandma said, креста на нем не было.
He did not have a
Неверующий,
cross.
поэтому незащищенный.
He was not protected.
Этот случай поразил меня до сердца.
This got to me on a gut level.
И это то, что с нами случается.
And this is what happens to us.
Мы замерзаем до смерти, мы тонем, мы умираем.
We freeze to death. We drown. We die.
Или есть другой путь, путь в AA.
But there is another way. There is an AA path.
Верующие и неверующие, агностики или атеисты. Мы все, страдающие от пыток алкоголизма, принадлежим здесь.
Everybody who suffers from alcoholism belongs in these rooms.
Алкоголизм не дискриминирует. И анонимные алкоголики не дискриминируют. Мы не исключаем никого.
We do not exclude anyone because alcohol does not discriminate against anyone.
Если у вас есть желание бросить пить, это единственное условие.
If you have the desire to stop drinking, this is the only condition.
И не требует от меня верить в Бога. Это не религиозная программа.
AA does not require you to believe in God. This is not a religious program.
Доктор Силфорд описал нас так. Это люди верят в себя, но еще больше они верят в силу, которая удерживает хронических алкоголиков.
Dr. Silkworth described this very accurately. So people that believe in themselves, but most importantly, they believe in a power greater than themselves that keeps them from drink.
Отделяющая нас от жизни и смерти.
The power that separates us from life and death.
О май гад. Так значит, есть выход. Я не должна умирать, не должна жить так и страдать.
Oh my God, there is a way out. I don't have to live like this. I don't have to suffer. There is a way out.
Что же это за сила? Где ее взять? Да она нужна мне всегда была. Я всегда ее искала.
What is this power? How do I find it? Where do I get it? How do I obtain it? I've been looking for it all my life,
Только не в правильных местах.
but not in the right places.
Для нас это между жизнью и смертью.
For us, it is a choice between life and death.
Нет времени рассуждать о существовании Бога. У меня вон волосы горят.
There is no time to discuss about the existence or non-existence of God when my hair is on fire.
Я должна найти эту силу,
I have to find this power
на которую я могу опереться и которая защитит меня от этой злополучной рюмки.
that I can lean upon at any time, and that the one that will protect me against this drink in front of me.
Я нахожу эту силу, принимая план выздоровления, прорабатывая 12 шагов.
I find this power through the program of the 12 steps.
Я нахожу эту силу выше, чем я.
I find this power, it is truly greater than I am by myself.
Я жила в стране, где вера была запрещена, уничтожены церкви.
I lived in a country where any type of faith was prohibited, where churches were destroyed.
Верьте в коммунизм, в партию. Положитесь на нас.
Believe in communism, believe in the party. Place your faith upon us in power.
Они сказали, мы мощные, все выдержим.
They said to us, we're powerful. We will be able to handle anything that comes our way.
А люди стали деморализироваться, разлагаться и, падая духом, потянулись к бутылке.
And people became demoralized, dispirited, and having lost their direction, reached for the bottle.
Это страшная безвыходность, безысходность.
It is a terrible, terrible conundrum with absolutely no way out and hopeless state of being.
Но вот когда я нашла AA и увидела совершенно невероятные духовные победы,
But when I found AA, I found an incredible spiritual victory.
Увиделось, что примеру Билла Уилсона последовали другие и выздоровели.
I saw that others followed the example of Bill Wilson and they got well.
И это все, что мне надо было – выздороветь.
And it's all I needed to get well.
И сохранное место, где не давят, не клюют. И это место стало AA.
A safe place, a place where I'm not judged, a place where I'm not being put down. And that place is called AA.
Я наконец прозрела и поняла, что вековое невежество закончено.
I finally had scales pulled off my eyes, and my spiritual desolation became null and void. I became enlightened.
Надо только начать. Вести диспуты, что существует, что нет, и какая я сильная и крутая. О, как я любила самоутверждаться.
The discussions about how strong or not strong I am, discussion about spiritual or not spiritual I am, are not needed here.
Доказывая, что я сама могу, что сильная, и падала на дно бутылки.
Trying to prove myself that I'm strong and yet falling on my face over and over again.
Когда я видела, что вера в силу работала у других, я наконец затихла, сраженная могуществом этого факта.
When I saw that a power greater than ourselves had been working successfully in the lives of others, I fell to my knees and believed that there is a power greater than myself that can help us from drinking.
Оставшись наедине с собой и заглянув в душу, я почувствовала присутствие Духа.
Being left alone with myself to my own devices, I looked deeply inside myself and felt the presence of the Spirit.
Он был там,
He was there,
такой реальный,
very real,
такой родной.
the dearest,
Словно как внутренний голос говорил мне:
like an eternal voice telling me,
«А ты уверена, что я не существую?»
"Are you sure that I do not exist?
Может быть, ты просто боишься меня?
Maybe you're just afraid of me.
Ты трус?
What are you, a coward?"
Воодушевленная, я позвонила спонсору.
Inspired, I called my sponsor.
Захлебываясь от восторга, я рассказала ему, что случилось со мной.
Absolutely beside myself with joy, I explained to my sponsor what came over me.
А он только улыбался и говорил: «Да, это и есть идея».
He was just smiling and saying, "Yep, that's pretty much the idea."
Начало было положено, и с неверующей я стала верующей.
The foundation was laid down. From an unbeliever, I have become a believer.
Я нашла силу, я больше не была бессильна.
I found power greater than myself. I was no longer powerless myself.
И отсюда я смогу построить опору на нее. Я верила, что могу.
And from here on forward, I can most certainly build on this foundation and then rest on this foundation successfully.
Я благодарна AA за то, что не поставили условий а приняли меня с открытыми сердцами.
I'm grateful to AA that they have placed absolutely no preconditions on me and they have accepted me with open arms.
Такую вот русскую неверующую бунтовщицу.
Just like I am, Russian, unbeliever, rebel, etc.
Все свелось к выбору. Какой дорогой пойду? Пойду в веру или в страх?
Everything came down to one choice. Which path will I follow? The path of believing in a higher power or the path of rebellion?
Бог все или ничего?
God is everything or else he's nothing.
Каждый из нас приходит к этому выбору.
Every single one of us comes to this choice.
И некого винить, если выбор не сделан.
And there is no one to blame if that choice is not made correctly.
Все очень просто.
Everything is quite simple.
Неважно, агностики или атеисты, мы, измученные пытками алкоголизма, наконец попадаем в AA.
makes no difference whether you're atheist or agnostic. We end up in AA having been tortured by kin alcohol long enough,
Растерзанные, потерянные, напуганные.
torn to shreds, afraid of everything.
Все, что нам нужно, сохранное место, чтобы начать.
Everything that we need is just a safe place so that we can begin our recovery.
Не имеет значения здесь в AA, кто вы и во что вы верите.
It makes absolutely no difference here inside the rooms of AA who you are and what you believe or do not believe into.
А как вы полагаетесь на эту силу? Вот в чем момент.
How do you count and make use of this higher power? That is the only question.
Я наблюдала потрясающие, иногда грустные случаи.
I have observed an absolutely earth-shattering event and something that shook me to my foundation.
Я знала одного мужчину,
I knew a man
когда вела группу AA на 79-й улице.
when I was leading an AA group on 79th Street, New York.
У него было неплохое начало, но он не признавал силу.
He had a pretty good beginning, but he absolutely did not accept that there was a power greater than himself.
И каждое собрание говорил, доказывая, что сам без Бога может справиться.
Every single meeting, he was trying to explain that he did not need a power greater than himself, that he would absolutely recover through self-knowledge and help himself to recover.
Прошло время, я переехала в даунтаун.
Time has passed. I have ended up downtown.
Однажды меня попросили выступить в госпитале на Upper East Side.
I was asked to come to a hospital at the Upper West Side once.
Я пришла, госпиталь был пуст.
I came over. The hospital was empty.
Это было Рождество.
It was right around Christmas time.
Пришел один мужчина. Мне показалось, что я его знаю.
A man came over, and I thought I knew him.
Присмотревшись к нему,
Looking closer,
я догадалась, кто это,
I realized who it was
и ужаснулась.
and recoiled in horror.
Он сидел как раненый зверь,
He was like a wounded animal,
как психически ненормальный,
like a psychologically deranged person,
едва напоминавший человеческий облик.
barely resembling human form.
Я была потрясена шоком.
I was shooken to my foundation.
Умный и талантливый, он не смог найти желание верить, и тем самым сделал выбор.
Smart and talented, he was not able to make the right choice.
It all comes down to choice. God is everything or God is nothing. What's your choice to be? I'm running out of time, so thank you very much for your time.
Wow, you guys got your work cut out for you here, I think. Wow, I wouldn't want to follow that. I didn't want to cut her off. Thank you so much, Irina. Our next presenter is Jean Marie from Area 45, and her topic is removing the word God from AA the answer? So please help me welcome Jean Marie.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jean Marie. I'm from Area 45, and I am definitely an alcoholic. So, before I begin, I want to thank the NERASA committee and all the volunteers for all their hard work in putting together this terrific weekend. A special thanks to Tyler, who was not only efficient in his job, but very helpful anytime I had questions about what I was supposed to be doing. It's truly an honor and a privilege to present here at NERASA, and also freaking scary. But wow, what an interesting and pertinent and fascinating topic in today's AA world. Fun fact, the word God appears 134 times within the first 164 pages of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. There are an additional 147 times that capitalized synonyms for God are used, such as creator, director, divine intelligence, etc. Source for that is bigbookwizardry.wordpress.com. And the Urban Dictionary says that there are over 500 definitions of the word God. The most commonly understood, and for our purposes, pretty close to, they involve some sort of divine interventionist deity. So, is removing the word God from AA the answer? When I've relayed this question to fellow AAs over the past couple of weeks, I've gotten similar reactions, very similar to kind of how I reacted. It was like, huh? No. You know, we try to be polite and non-judgmental and open-minded in AA, so we don't want to just blurt out, well, that sounds kind of goofy. So a lot of puzzled faces along with some very definite no's. So what do we do with this question? What does this question really mean? And anyway, how the heck could we possibly remove the word God from our AA program? Well, we're going to explore this question. For those unaware, as I was, it turns out that Alcoholics Anonymous already has a fair amount of AA groups who do not use the word God in their meetings. These are secular, agnostic, atheist, freethinker groups of Alcoholics Anonymous. They may use language a bit differently than what some of us are used to, but these groups insist they are fully members of AA. Some of the first agnostic AA meetings began in the 1970s and 80s in Chicago, Los Angeles, and New York City. According to the AA Agnostica site, there were 87 agnostic meetings across North America around 2011. In 2016, that number was 320 agnostic-type meetings worldwide. We know that atheists and agnostics have found sobriety and been members of Alcoholics Anonymous since the beginning. Let's hear in Bill's own words about the writing of the 12 steps, all the arguing that went into it, and the important contribution that agnostic and atheist members made to our program. So here we go. Out of it all, there came a 10 strike, out of all the argument, a 10 strike for Alcoholics Anonymous. Our agnostic contingent, speared by Hank P. and Jim B., finally convinced us that we must make it easier for people like themselves by using such terms as a higher power or God as we understand him. Those expressions, as we so well know today, have proved lifesavers for many an alcoholic. They have enabled thousands of us to make a beginning where none of them could have been made had we left the steps just as I originally wrote them. And isn't that the primary purpose of Alcoholics Anonymous? We solve our problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The earliest reference that I could find from AA history having anything to do with this, removing the word God from AA, comes from page 81 in Language of the Heart, written in 1957 and out of a conference-approved book. Bill is quoting from a letter that had recently been received from a Presbyterian minister in Thailand. Well, since you guys stole my thunder and already read this at the beginning of the meeting, I won't repeat it, but I will just give the very last paragraph in that. In the beginning, AA was very concerned that we not be identified with any kind of religious entity. So before the big book was written and published, it was given to Catholics, all kinds of different religions, to see if there'd be any objections. And this is kind of along the same lines. But anyway, Bill continues after that letter where the Buddhists say it would be accepted, and especially better if the word good was used for God. Bill says, to some of us, the idea of substituting God for good for God, in the 12 steps seems like a watering down of AA's message, but here we must remember that AA's steps are suggestions only. A belief in them as they stand is not a requirement for membership among us. This liberty has made AA available to thousands who never would have tried it all had we insisted on the 12 steps just as written. But changes in them seldom last. the original version usually wins out. What has proved so true here in America will probably prove true in many a far-off land. Alcoholics may be led to believe in God, but none can be forced. So there are actually a lot of Alcoholics Anonymous 12 steps for recovery from alcoholism that can be found online. There's Buddhist, non-theist 12 steps, a free thinker steps, agnostic AA 12 steps, atheist 12 steps, etc. Some of these 12 steps are actually used by some AA members and groups. So here's how one group might go ahead and run their meeting. They'd start with the preamble. Maybe they'd start with the AA preamble first, but then the agnostic preamble. This group of AA attempts to maintain a tradition of free expression and conduct a meeting where alcoholics may feel free to express any doubts or disbeliefs they may have, and to share their own personal form of spiritual experience, their search for it or their rejection of it. We do not endorse or oppose any religion or atheism. Our only wish is to assure suffering alcoholics that they can find sobriety in AA without having to accept anyone else's beliefs or having to deny their own. Then they'd go ahead to how it works. This particular group reads pretty traditional how it works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those, too, who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go. Absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, and powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, we came to believe and to accept that we needed strengths and resources beyond our awareness to restore us to sanity. 3, we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the collective wisdom of those who have searched before us. 4, we made a searching and fearless inventory of ourselves. 5, we admitted to ourselves, without reservation, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we were ready to accept help in letting go of all our defects of character. 7, with humility and openness, we sought to eliminate our shortcomings. 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, we made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, we continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our spiritual awareness and our understanding of the AA way of life. And 12, having had changed as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics. Okay, I'm out of time, but I do have to wrap this up just very, very quickly. I just want to say, okay, can I? No? Okay, I'm kicked out. Thank you.
Gosh, I feel awful. Thank you, Jean Marie. Our final presenter is Ernie P. from Area 44, whose presentation topic is titled, Are We Inclusive or Subtly Divisive? Please help me welcome Ernie.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ernie, and I am an alcoholic. My sobriety date is January 6, 2011. I currently serve as DCM of District 9 in Area 44. I am very honored to stand here before you today for so many reasons. Is God a requirement for AA membership? By its very nature, the question is controversial, but this only makes it that much more important that it be addressed today. A simple Google search of atheist in AA brings up an overwhelming number of results. Sifting through, you may stumble across an article on an atheist agnostic AA group called We Agnostics, located in Toronto, Canada. We Agnostics decided to change the 12 steps. Similar to the way that in a step meeting everyone shares what the steps mean to him or her, the group decided what the steps meant to them collectively. In doing so, they hoped to make the steps more relatable and accessible to those who attended their meetings. Afterward, the Greater Toronto Area Intergroup delisted the group. Why? The intergroup stated that a belief in God is a requirement to be listed. Because of the delisting, a member filed a claim with the Human Rights Tribunal of Ontario against the Greater Toronto Area Intergroup and AA World Services, claiming this was a human rights violation. AAWS stated that AA is not a religious organization, and eventually the intergroup reached a mediation to relist the group, agreeing that belief in God is not necessary. Over the years, atheist and agnostic groups have been listed in other parts of Canada and the United States to promote an inclusive approach to AA membership rather than promote any religious or theistic perspective. But there are still intergroups that refuse to list atheist and agnostic groups. As stated in the long form of Tradition 3, our membership ought to include all who suffer from alcoholism. Hence, we may refuse none who wish to recover, nor ought AA membership ever depend upon money or conformity. Any 2 or 3 alcoholics gathered together for sobriety may call themselves an AA meeting, provided that, as a group, they have no other affiliation. Tradition 3 is reiterated in the book AA Comes of Age. Further elaborating, that means these 2 or 3 alcoholics could try for sobriety in any way they like. They could disagree with all or any of AA's principles and still call themselves an AA group. Jim Burwell is credited with the adoption of AA's third tradition. It was primarily Jim, along with Hank Parkhurst, who convinced Bill to change the 12 steps to be more inclusive for those who did not believe in God. From the very beginning, controversy existed over the idea that God was essential to sobriety. Jim and Hank argued that the alcoholic should be able to take God or leave him alone as he wished. They paved the way for what is happening now, all these years later, with a growing population of agnostics and atheists. Jim also helped start the first AA groups in Philadelphia, Washington, and Baltimore. If our past members were so concerned with being inclusive to all suffering alcoholics inside and outside the rooms of AA, shouldn't we carry that as well? The facts and arguments I've discussed hit close to home for me, for I too am an atheist. I have to be honest, it was quite frightening when I came into AA and I saw the steps. All I wanted to do was stop drinking, and yet I kept hearing the word God. Eventually, it became easier to feel I was a part of the fellowship, mostly due to the many wonderful people in AA who have accepted me for who I am and allowed me to follow my own path. I find my higher power within the groups of AA. I could not have made it without my fellow AA members. It is with them that I finally realized I am not unique or alone. I am experiencing a new freedom and happiness, and I need to stay connected to this higher power. As an atheist, I don't want to conform you to what I do or do not believe. Conversely, I feel the same should apply to those who do believe in God. I am profoundly grateful that your higher power works in your life, but while I support you in your beliefs, I do not want your higher power in my life. I think most atheists and agnostics feel this way. We want to stay sober just as badly as you. Please do not deprive us of our own path. When we change the steps into something that is relatable to us or make a mental adjustment to some wording in the Big Book or 12 and 12, it does not set us on a rampage to change all the text of AA. We are simply trying to stay sober in a way that works for us, just as those who believe in God are trying to stay sober in a way that works for them. When I take a sponsee through the steps, I do not change anything. I allow them to read the book as it is and tell me what it means to them. This is the beauty of AA working in both of our lives. It is up to them if they wish to follow a path of belief or non-belief. It is not up to me. If I tried to affect their beliefs, I would deprive them of an opportunity to grow, the same opportunity my sponsor and many others have given me. I work hard to ensure I'm not critical of others and their beliefs. I know that I cannot be offended when people attack my views if I then retaliate and attack what they believe in. It solves nothing. I find great value in the Big Book, the 12 Steps, 12 Traditions, 12 Concepts, and other AA literature. I would probably not be sober today without the readings. I also need to stay open to the fact that my own personal beliefs grow and change in sobriety. The truth is, I do not know what I may or may not believe in 10 years. And the only thing that allows for my continued personal growth is an openness to knowing that there may well be changes in me. But what about now? If only I had extra tools designed to guide the atheist and agnostic, tools like the pamphlet, The God Word, could have really assisted me when I questioned whether this program could work for me. Tools of which some newcomers may be in dying need of. More and more young people who do not believe in God are coming into our fellowship. The fastest growing religious group in America is made up of people with no religion at all. It is up to us to make sure the door is open for all. AA membership has plateaued for the last several years. Unfortunately, the number of those suffering from alcoholism has not. If we hope to expand our membership base and serve all suffering alcoholics who need us, we must remember that we cannot be that biased person who pushes members back out the door. If we tell newcomers they need not believe in God, that they can simply believe in the fellowship, then we must ensure we're not holding back mentally or emotionally. We can't imply in subtle ways that eventually they will need to believe in God to succeed. When my daughter enters this world in March or April of this year, it is imperative that she has a seat in the fellowship of AA, should she ever need it, regardless of her beliefs. This is about the future of AA and the seats not yet filled. So, how can we reach out to those who oppose our beliefs? Is it even possible? When is it time to walk away from some people? When does religion or lack thereof go from discussion to defensiveness? How do we stay united? Therein lies the wisdom to know the difference, I suppose. In closing, let me share 4 irrefutable facts. 1, people with God have stayed sober. 2, atheists and agnostics have stayed sober. 3, people with God have relapsed. 4, atheists and agnostics have relapsed. Hence I ask each and every one of us, is God a requirement for AA membership? And do you consider yourself to be inclusive, or are you subtly divisive? My sources are Craig W., Area 11, Panel 65, Past Delegate, 2018 Chair of NARASA. Paul W., Area 44, Past DCM, District 28. Phone interview with Larry K. of We Agnostics in Toronto, Canada. Phone interview with Greg T., General Manager of the General Service Office. J.E., Area 44, Panel 65, Past Delegate. Keith B., Area 44, Panel 49, Past Delegate, and my service sponsor. The AA Service Manual, Tradition 3, AA Comes of Age, pages 81 and 105. The 12 and 12, pages 143 to 145. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary. AATorontoAgnostics.com, religions.blogs.cnn.com, AABeyondBelief.org, Newswire.ca, AAAgnostica.org, and AA.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ernie, and thanks to all of our presenters. And I'm going to keep this moving right along because we don't have a lot of time, and I see everybody lining up to the mic already. So we're now ready to hear from the floor. Each person who wishes to share at the microphone will be allowed 2 minutes. Scott will start the timing after each person has identified themselves. Please keep your introduction brief and be mindful to not repeat what has already been said. The goal is to hear as many different viewpoints as possible. Scott will signal the timer when there are 30 seconds remaining with the flashing light. At 2 minutes, the bell will ring. Please stop speaking immediately and leave the microphone at the bell. The only exception to the 2-minute guideline is when a speaker comes to the microphone with an interpreter. Yes, he or she will have 4 minutes and will receive the warning flashing light at 3 minutes 30 seconds. At 4 minutes, the bell will ring. Scott will notify me when there are 8 to 10 minutes left, so we have an idea how many are left at the microphone. We'll be able to get a chance to share. It's important for us to stick to our schedule in order to achieve our full agenda for the weekend. Please note this panel is shorter than all the other panels. Please come to the microphone. I don't even have to say that. You're already lined up, and not everybody's going to get to share. So with that, I'm going to go from my left to right over here.
Hi, I'm Scott. I'm an alcoholic. Scott. I've had a question since almost the beginning of this panel, after the first panelist, because there was no discussion on the pamphlet, The God Word, in the talk by the first panelist, and I want to know why there was no discussion on that pamphlet when that was the name in the program of what the talk was supposed to be about. And I want to thank the third panelist for actually mentioning it. And if anybody's interested in reading that pamphlet, a PDF of it is available for free to download off the internet. I have it on my phone right now, and I've been reading it. It's interesting, and I think worth discussing.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I'm Tony. I'm an alcoholic. I'm from Area 50 in Buffalo, New York. I want to thank all three panelists. I don't disagree with anything you guys said at all. But I'm not confused that this isn't a question of membership anymore. We're heading out of there. Sentiment and stories of my personal recovery aren't going to sway where this is heading. We have 2 agenda items to adopt a pamphlet from another general service office and to create one of pure atheism. The spirituality of many past wasn't sufficient enough, so we're asked again, a spiritual movement, to print atheist literature. And that took me on a journey to the conference charter, Article 12, Warranty 6, to see what if AA says something about itself. And it says this: freedom under God to grow in his likeness and image will ever be the quest of Alcoholics Anonymous. May our General Service Conference be always seen as the chief symbol of this cherished principle. So where membership's concerned, I agree on all of this stuff. I have a great freedom to draw on whatever power or not draw on power or be whatever you'd like to be. Tradition 3 and Step 2 has all of that freedom. But AA does believe itself to be something, and it seems it's believed that it's a God-initiated and God-authoritated spiritual movement, and printing literature that's truly atheist would be not in congruence with what it says about itself and what our conference charter has to say. In Warranty 5, if you'd like to investigate that, says if the movement keeps growing, if there's truly a faction unhappy with AA, we invite them to secede from us and take all we have to know and become their own thing. We wish them well if they decide to do so. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. So thank you. We had a question. We had a question from the first gentleman at the mic as to the content of the first speaker, and I'm not sure that there really is an answer to that. I believe when I was a presenter a few years ago, I turned in my presentation ahead of time, and if that's still the same protocol, I'm sure that the presentation was already approved before she got up here. Is that correct? Yes.
Right.
Let's move on to the next.
Hi, my name's Derek. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Derek.
Southeast New York, Long Beach, New York. Thanks to the presenters and the committee. I was curious on the heading on the format. It talks about membership and belief in God, and since you're quoting pages in books, I'm going to quote a page in a book, page 28 in the big book. The following chapter, there appears an explanation of alcoholism as we understand it. Then a chapter addressed to the agnostic. Many who once were in this class are now among our members. So here's our founder speaking I think is the first historical record I found about membership and belief, that they once were not believers, they were atheists and agnostics, and are now believers and are now members. I have background from, it's about 7 or 8 conferences going back to the 70s on this item. 3 of the conference literature committees just didn't even think it necessary to send it to the conference, and then twice more it was shot down. But here we are, again, visiting this topic. And I was thinking, it doesn't matter if we do publish this piece, it's already made it to the United States, and the atheists and agnostic members, love them all, are handing this out already, in addition to 2 books. I find that these teachings and these ideas and these experiences are a diametrical opposition to what I've been pitching for 30 years. We have one with all power. That one is God. May you find him not yesterday, not the day before, not tomorrow. We can't comprehend or define that power, which is J. Gariel, right? Right? How many people restored themselves to sanity? How many hands are going to go up? None. How many people came here with power to stop? How many hands are going to go up? None. So to me, this is a testament to the power of God and those who have made a decision to turn. I made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God.
Thank you. Thank you.
My time up?
Yes, your time is up. We have about 7 minutes left, so
Thank you.
I'm guessing maybe about 3 or 4 left at the mic is all we're going to have time for. Over here to my left.
Okay, my name's Clive. I'm an alcoholic. I'm from District 8 and Area 11. And when I first saw these topics, I said, I am not going to miss this particular discussion because it makes me very angry. Because it sounds very divisive. It sounds as though we people who believe in God are going to be forced out of AA. And then up stood Irina. Thank you so much for your message. You made it very real for me. I needed a higher power, and for years I didn't know that. I was very dissatisfied with my life, and I drank to get away from it. But I thought alcohol was a management tool. It wasn't a problem, it was a solution. And then one day, when I didn't want to stop, when I wanted to stop drinking, and I couldn't, along around the 3rd drink, a little quiet voice said to me, "You're an alcoholic." And I instantly believed it. That didn't come out of my brain, it came out of my heart. And that's where my higher power speaks to me. And I said, but I don't know what to do. And the little voice said, ask for help. Well, I didn't go out on the front porch and try to change my whole character. I didn't talk to my boss at the office or my friends at the supermarket. I went to AA with the help of a counselor. Okay. And what I found gradually was a connection with God, whom I don't understand, but who loves me very much. And I need a religious program as well as a spiritual program. I'm sometimes uneasy with the people who make fun in AA rooms of religious people, okay?
Thank you. And to the center. And we're going to do the center and the end, and we're going to wrap it up. So the rest of you, I'm sorry, but maybe you can catch somebody's ear out in the hall.
Hi, my name is Naita. I'm an alcoholic from Area 30, Eastern Massachusetts. I'm a young person, active in AA. I'm a believer, was not always a believer. I waffle back and forth. And it says in the big book, we cannot transmit something that we do not have. And the bottom line is, AA does not have the corner market on alcoholism. We're very clear on that. And members of Alcoholics Anonymous do not have the corner on God. And what God is for one person, which is for me, I'm a Christian. For somebody else, they might be a Buddhist. And God-centered, for me, means group of drunks, plain and simple. And the bottom line is, for young people, there are a bunch of young people in this room who do not believe in God, and the hostility in this room towards us who don't believe in God will chase us out. And you need us us who are under 45 to stay here. Because if you chase us out, there will not be a program. Thank you.
Thank you. And all the way over here to the right.
My name is Peter, and I am an alcoholic. I am also a Catholic, but that has absolutely nothing to do here. No. I have religious beliefs that have absolutely nothing to do with my membership in AA. Likewise, I'm sure there are many people, I know men in my home group, who are atheist. That is besides the point. To the third speaker who finished his speech with a question asking if we are inclusive or subtly divisive, I found your speech to be subtly divisive, actually blatantly so. The fact that you would, the irony, I'm sorry, I can't get past the irony that all these people who are trying to change the steps are here sober today because they worked a program of spiritual recovery. But let's go ahead and change that. Yeah, I'm sorry, I just don't understand where this is going. If you don't like the God word, you don't need to change the way everyone approaches this topic, this steps. My apologies if you find that offensive, but this program saved my life, and I'm not willing to allow anything to change for that.
Thank you. And unfortunately, we are out of time. I've been instructed. So, but we're not ready to clear the room yet because I still have more reading to do. So, okay. So this discussion needs to conclude now. We will close the panel, which will be followed by an extended fellowship break. After we close this panel, it is extremely important that everyone clear out of this ballroom immediately so the hotel staff can begin setting up for the banquet. Please note that eating a banquet meal requires prepaying. If you did not order a meal for the Saturday evening banquet, please see your registration packet for information regarding other dinner options. Please note that the hotel restaurant is extremely limited on seating, but there are a number of other local options. The flag ceremony will be here in the Grand Ballroom at 8:30, followed by the Saturday night AA speaker meeting. Please join me in closing with the Declaration of Unity located on the back of your program. This we owe, yes. This we owe today's future, to keep common welfare first, to keep our fellowship united, for an AA unity and our lives and the lives of those to come. Thank you.
If anybody wants to get the recordings from this weekend, we ask that you place your order now, and then pre-ordered sets will be ready 5 minutes after the last talk tomorrow. Thank you.
Wow, talk about putting me in a spot. Sweat bullets, cutting everybody off.
Got everybody fired up. Thanks for signing me up for a good one.
Yes. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah. No, I don't either. Yeah.
Yep. Can we please clear the Grand Ballroom as soon as possible so that the hotel staff can flip the rooms? There's lots of other spaces to congregate, but it can't be in here right now. So let's all please clear the rooms. Clear out of the Grand Ballroom, please. Thank you.